You're unmuted now.
Hey, Barry. Hey, Barry, can you hear me?
There we go. Sorry. Trying to multitask, not efficiently. Hey, Mary.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello, Barry.
Who am I talking to with mine's iPhone?
Aha, Dave Iverson.
Dave, there you are. Okay.
I don't know how to. Let me see if I can figure out how to change that.
Are you? I can change it.
Can you change it? Alrighty.
Yeah.
Joe Plandowski.
Joe, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
All right, hang on.
Hi, everyone else. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I can't see anything really.
There we go. All right. This is really kind of a very light agenda, and I'll just let you know in advance that Dorothy Hertz called me a few minutes ago, and she said that she's got something else that just came up, unfortunately, and Melissa said she was going to be, I think she was off island today, but she was also tied up into something else. So we do have a quorum though, which is good. I'm going to try not to keep you for too long because I know you're all busy people. And let me just do that. Okay. All right, so let me get started with the opening script here that we need to do, unless there's something else going on. And we can proceed ahead if you're all good. So as a preliminary matter, this is Barry Rector, the chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dorothy Hertz is absent. Dave Iverson?
Here.
Meredith Lepre?
Here.
Melissa Murphy is absent. Joe Plandowski?
Here.
Jacques Zemicki?
Here.
And the chair as well, Barry Rector. So good afternoon. I don't have any anticipated speakers, but if there's someone who's going to be doing that, we try to keep things a little open-ended here. This open meeting of the Cannabis Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Cannabis Advisory Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The chair is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first agenda on the item. Before we do so, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, as the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude the remarks, chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their name and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Members of the public wishing to participate in this meeting must use their full name for Zoom access. If full names are not used, people will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. The town reserves the right to remove any member of the public from the meeting who does not use full name or acts inappropriately. Warning may cause hair loss, sight loss, hearing damage. It sounds like one of those commercials, so I'm sorry, but anyways, thank you for bearing through that with me. You have an agenda before you at this point, and I would love someone to make a motion to approve the agenda submitted.
So moved.
Thanks, Dave, and do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, Joe, thank you. So Jacques, you're in favor?
Yes, in favor, aye.
Okay, Mary,
Yes.
Dave,
Aye.
Joe,
Yes.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you. Don't have any real draft minutes at this point. I see Jason on the phone. I see Nicole out there as well too. Welcome. I'm glad to see you both. I don't know if you have anything for us before we do our meeting. It's like I said, today's going to be kind of short and sweet by the looks of things.
Nope, nothing from me. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, Jason.
Hi there, Barry. Just jumping on. Sorry, I missed the last couple of meetings. You know how things are, but it's nice to see you, and I hope everyone is doing well.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you too. Well, not see you, but kind of see you at this point, but I'm so glad you're on. It's always nice to have you here as well.
Thank you.
All right. The election of office, I really would love the full board to be able to do this. So if you're all good, I'm going to wind up tabling this. Not seeing any dissent from the crowd here at this point. Where we left off at the last time, which is item 7 on the agenda, is marijuana establishments. We had possibly talked about submitting a warrant article and getting some clarification from town council about the licensing issue. I'm still waiting to hear back from town council. That is in the works, but you know, a town meeting going on right now, unfortunately, if it's not directly on the warrant, it's kind of falling through the cracks a little bit. So I have to apologize, but it doesn't mean that I'm letting up on them still. We would like, you know, at our last meeting, we thought it important to get some clarification from town council one more time to understand the whole licensing issue that's out there and how it affects other types, not only just retail, but other types of marijuana related uses that may go on. So as soon as I hear back from town council, I promise I will fill you in on those details. In regards to doing a warrant article, unfortunately, it did not make it in time. I talked with Leslie Woodson to try to see if we could get that done. Unfortunately, it just did not move to fruition, which is fine, because I will tell you too that at our last meeting, I got a sense of the group that a few people really didn't want to move ahead with this. So, for those who didn't, that's fine. That works out well, and it is what it is. But that doesn't mean we can't address it as time moves on. There's always opportunity for a special town meeting. God only knows. But that's kind of the status of where we're at on that. So it's on the back burner for the moment when we come down to the whole licensing issue and crafting something out, maybe potentially for a future town meeting. I don't know if any of you have any questions or comments on that. Just raise your hand or pipe in. It's a small enough group to be able to manage here. Joe?
No, I don't have any comments.
All right. Yeah. No, I'm not seeing any of you. Yeah,
Hey,
Dave.
Barry, it's Dave. I mean, listen, I rather have, and I know I've been absent, and I apologize, but I mean, I just think it's important that if we do bring something forward, that it's not half baked. So I'm fine with setting out another year, and if we're going to come up with something that's real and not no pun intended, but half baked.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mary, did you have anything? No. And Jacques?
Nothing.
No. All right. So I think we're all pretty much on the same page here. I just wanted to have to deliver that news to you. I really don't have too much of anything else. As commissioners, you're all on separate boards that you do as well too. So I want to kind of start plugging in that ability to see if there's anything that you want to bring back from your respective boards. Last meeting, for instance, Dorothy Hertz had brought up, some interesting information from the contract review committee. Above and beyond that, I don't know if there's anything else floating down there. So let me just kind of run through real quickly and just see if you all have any update or any information you'd like to provide for us at this moment. Jacques?
Nothing.
All right. Mary?
No,
No, nothing from Board of Health.
no, we've been focused on the PFAS issue.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you've got a few other things that are going to be floating out there as well too. So, oh my golly, yeah, busy. Okay. Dave, anything from planning?
No, as you know, we are swamped in the rest of the ATM articles. But at the moment, no.
No. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm intimately familiar with it. Joe, anything on your end that is going on?
Can you take a question on clarification?
This is what we're here for, so let it roll.
Okay. At the last meeting, I asked the question of where product was being shipped to be tested. And the answer was it can't be shipped anyplace because it's going over federal waters.
Mm-hmm.
But I come back with the question of saying, who in the world is doing the testing of the product that's being sold? And I raised that because
Go ahead.
I raised that because I looked at the independent testing laboratory definition in 94G.
Yep.
And that clearly says independent testing laboratory is a laboratory that is licensed by the commission and is independent financially from any medical marijuana treatment center or any licensee or marijuana establishment for which it conducts a test. And so I'm thinking about this saying, now, wait a minute, are the establishments doing their own testing? And if they are, how do they get around the independence issue. And I don't have an answer for it. I looked through a lot of the documents that I could find, and I don't see anything that clarifies what's happening in terms of testing.
Joe, may I, Barry?
But yeah, go ahead, Dave. You're
Uh,
probably going to say what I'm going to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, the problem is the not we, but the establishments we have on our island cannot ship product across federal waters, basically. And so that leaves
Right.
them to test their own at the moment. I mean, I just think, to set up a lab like that is so crazy expensive that just to test two clients' marijuana is probably not very viable.
I'm from the laboratory industry, and I understand that completely. There is no way you can justify a laboratory for these two establishments. But I'm surprised that they're doing their own testing. I would think there would be some way of saying, look, this stuff's being shipped out of here. It's not for sale. It's going to be destroyed when it's tested. You would think somebody with some common sense would say, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, I can tell you that Nantucket, the Vineyard One Fine Day, if that ever comes up as well too, they've been given special exemption about being have to do laboratory, certified laboratory testing. So they're allowed to do it in-house with some very tight parameters associated with it. Not to speak out of turn here, but I think Act Natural is running into that right now with some of the problems with testing. This is why they're delayed in opening. Jacques usually keeps a real close eye on this as well too, and I see Nicole as well. So Jacques, I don't know if you have anything further you want to add on that, or?
Yeah, I think the key takeaway is that the state legislatures realized that we couldn't send stuff across the water, so we have an exemption. And the lab tests that were done were the testing that is done out here and the methods that they use were approved by the Cannabis Control Commission as an exemption. Indeed, it'd be great to have like full spectrum analysis, et cetera, but say no one really wants to put in the $500,000 to build the lab.
Right. I understand that. Okay. So I now know what's going on. There's an exemption to it. That's great.
And go ahead.
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I know that they're also held to some pretty rigorous standards in terms of doing that, and in terms of their monitoring process as well too. Nicole, I don't want to put you on the spot, and if you don't want to get into this, that's fine. But you've got firsthand knowledge of dealing with this. So I don't know if you want to chime in for a minute or two.
Yeah, sure. I'd be glad to. In the regulations, they carved out Nantucket and Dukes County. And they said if you're located in Nantucket or Dukes, which is Martha's Vineyard, that you can have a modified on-premises testing lab, because the most important thing to the CCC is not to, do anything the federal government will not be pleased with. That's their I would say their number one rule is safety of the public, but their number two rule, don't mess with the federal government. And so that's what they've carved out, and it is very rigorous. And they hold us to very incredibly high standards. And I do think that when the federal law changes, then this might change as well. But in the meantime, I think the CCC is doing a great job of ensuring that the products are well tested and safe for the human consumption. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks. No, Nicole, thanks so much. It's like I said, I didn't want to pick on you at this point, but I think outside of all of us, you've of course, you're dealing with this firsthand and probably have a good, have a really good feel for what's involved. And it's like I said too, I remember when you took me on my tour and we were talking about it, it seemed pretty rigorous in terms of what you were all doing for quality control, in terms of doing your testing as well. So
Yes, our lives would be much easier if we could send samples over to mainland. But we can't, so we just have to make the best of what we're doing.
all right, great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Board members, did you have anything else?
Barry, I do have
Yeah.
one other clarification point to raise.
It's fine. No, please.
In the Cannabis Control Commission document, it says edibles means a marijuana product that is to be consumed by humans by eating or drinking. The very next sentence says, these products, when created or sold by a marijuana establishment, shall not be considered a food or a drug. What in the world would you consider it?
It's interesting. It's probably been ages since I've dealt with that one. I don't remember. Nicole, I'm going to put you back on the spot here again at the moment, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. I know it's a little strange, but I think it's because you're also in the eyes of the DEA, you're dealing with controlled substances that are being consumed and modified in a fashion that I'm sure makes them all crazy there. But if you don't mind, Nicole, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a weird little thing, right? Because it seems counterintuitive and I don't have 100% answer to it. But the way I guess I look at it is to think of it more as a category of some type of medicine, perhaps because it did start with medical marijuana, right? And then the adult recreational came out of medical marijuana. So I think they're thinking of it more as a medicine than a food. And, you know, you can eat different types of medicine nowadays too. I don't know a lot about the pharmaceutical industry, but you have all your vitamins, right? Got a lot of gummy vitamins. So I think it's more to look at it as if it's in the category of a medicine rather than a food. But
I know, but here's what it says, though. It says shall not be considered a food or a drug.
Yeah.
And I've, you know, I'm reading through all this stuff, trying to figure out what's going on, saying, wow, that's kind of weird. I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe you call it an edible. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a weird spot. It is a weird area. I agree with you totally.
That's all I have, Barry.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Nicole, since you've got, I mean, you test all of your edibles as well too, and I'm sure that the moment you move outside of, how do I want to phrase this? The moment you move outside of a THC based product, that's just typical pot, for instance, do you have additional testing parameters that you have to do if all of a sudden you convert it to a brownie or a chocolate bar or something like that? Do other quote unquote food type things enter into that equation?
Well, for example, two things that you know from the food industry that you need to can be considerate with food is E. coli and salmonella.
Right.
Those are foodborne illnesses. So, but all products, whether you're going to be smoking it or eating it or even rubbing it on your body, are all tested for both E. coli and salmonella. So they're all treated the same way. So whatever the end product is, they're all tested for that. Okay.
And I'm going to really put you on the spot. You can hate me later, or I owe you big. If you were off island and doing edibles, does that have to go? That just goes to the state or the independent labs that are out there running that, right? It doesn't go through an additional food processing lab or anything like that, does it?
Right. It goes to just the same cannabis labs that are set up out on the mainland, and they do all the testing for whatever different type of product it is. But it's all done by the same cannabis laboratories that are certified also by the CCC.
Yeah. And So Joe, I think in a roundabout way, it sounds like that language may be in there so that the independent labs can do the quality control testing as opposed to having to bring it through either like a food lab testing or a more rigid drug lab testing type thing. And maybe that's why that language is in there. That's kind of where I was trying to track to, but I don't have an absolutely firm answer for you.
Yeah, in reading this stuff, it just seemed to jump off the page to say, what are they talking about? But that's fine. There was one other thing in terms of reading through all this documentation that was of interest, and that is in the 94G regulation, in definitions, they say cannabinoid, any of several compounds produced by marijuana plants.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there are marijuana plants. Aren't they cannabis plants?
Go ahead, Jacques. I'll let you take that one. You got such a great big smile on your face. You know the answer. I know the answer, but I'll let you go ahead if you don't mind.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, it was the state legislature who aren't very well versed in
Horticulture.
Horticulture or pot culture. I was a little surprised that they just didn't use the word pot instead of cannabis.
Okay, so I understand what happened here.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of byproduct that comes off of that. There are different cannabinoids that show up in there. There's a number of terpenes that show in as well too, that don't necessarily classify as cannabis per se. God, and I'm stretching here at the moment. There were other substances beyond, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking as to what they are right now. But I think there was almost 450 different products that when you look at cannabis by itself, that can come out of that plant. So I think, as Jacques was saying, I think that they were probably trying to figure out how to incorporate that and stretch it without making it too technical as well. Does that help a little bit?
Well,
Yeah.
I think of it as cannabis plants, so I don't have a problem with it. I just assumed that there was a story behind why they called it a marijuana plant.
Yeah. Okay. Nicole, you were going to say something, please.
Yeah, if I may add, actually, being that this is Black History Month and this is a kind of a passion that a lot of people have in the industry, one of the reasons that people who actually work in the industry don't like to use the word marijuana was because that is actually based in a derogatory term that they used to describe the plant when it was coming up from Central and South America, to portray it as a terrible substance brought across the border by the Mexicans. And it is a very derogatory racist term. So a lot of the people in the industry won't use that and prefer to call it cannabis. So I just thought that's a little interesting factoid there. And if you want to ever Google where did the word marijuana come from in its history, you could find that out.
Great.
Jacques, go ahead.
Just a side on word usage. I believe in Texas, they would probably call it loco weed. And that's probably started in around the turn of the century. It was called loco weed. The cows used to get into it and go get high. And that was the origin of that.
Excuse me.
That's it.
I'm sorry, I can't get that image out of my head of cows running around the field higher than kites and what that all looks like. That's going to be in there for a while now, but thank you for sharing that. All right. Is there anything else?
Not for me.
All right. And I don't see any other commissioners wanting to chime in at this stage. Promise you this would be a short meeting. So I don't know what next month is going to bring. Hopefully by then I might have some information from town council on the ongoing process here. If I don't hear from them and the agenda looks like, I might send you an email just to see what you think about maybe bypassing March and then seeing what April brings for us. But one step at a time with that. All right. Is there anything else that anyone would like to comment on? All right. No, thank you all. I appreciate you being here. I'm sorry the agenda is light, but our duty is still the same nonetheless. So our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for March 17th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which is a Thursday. And if you're all good at this point with nothing else, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn from someone.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Jacques,
Second,
Mary, thank you. So Jacques, affirmative.
Aye.
Yeah, Mary,
yes.
thank you. Dave,
Yes.
beautiful. Joe,
Yes.
and the chair votes affirmative as well. All right, thank you, everyone. It seems like it's a gorgeous day short of the wind. Enjoy yourself, and I really appreciate you taking the time and energy to take some time out of your day to be here. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks again, Nicole.
Thanks, Barry.
All right, thanks, Jacques. See you later. Take care.